Oh, I'm waiting for you to start. Okay, and ready. Welcome to another episode of Mom Big Podcast. This is where we have candid convos about the good, the bad, and the unexpected about motherhood, life, and relationships.
It's everything you're thinking, but don't necessarily want to say out loud. We're your hosts. I'm Krishel.
And I'm Nyamekye.
All right.
So what are we talking about today?
All right, so let's start with a little icebreaker, okay? So I have a little would you rather question. Would you rather have a cook for the rest of your life, or would you rather have a maid for the rest of your life?
This one's easy for me because if you know me, you know I do not like to cook, and nobody can clean my house the way I can clean my house. So I think I'd rather have a cook for the rest of my life, and I just said why, because I don't like to cook, and everybody in my house is picky, okay? And the things I like to eat cost a lot of money, and so I'd rather have somebody else cook it.
No, that don't mean they're gonna buy it. They just gonna cook it. You still gotta spend the money.
Well, I mean, now I gotta spend money for them to cook it, and I gotta buy the groceries. But it's gonna taste good. Like I'd be spending the money, and it don't taste the way I be wanting it to. So,
oh my gosh. Okay, so for me, I need a maid. Like I'm gonna have to teach you how to clean to my standards, and then once we get that standard, established, then up from there. But I'm not passionate about cooking, but I can cook and I will cook. Mm-hmm. But I hate cleaning. But I like a clean house.
Well,
so that's why I'm gonna have to train you to house.
I was about to say, like, I'll clean your house, but you cook for me.
Okay, that works.
Save each other some money.
That works. All right.
That sounds like a good plan because that's not bad.
Teamwork make the dream work.
Of course. So I saw this post on, I think it was Facebook, and I'm going to quote it. It says, "Breaking news, family is whoever the fuck I decide my family is. Blood don't mean shit." Excuse the language.
And that's on purpose. It said what it said, and it meant what it meant.
You have a point. And I can relate 1,001%, okay?
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that you agree with the statement.
For sure.
Okay. So why do you feel that way?
Because I feel like family is something that you establish. Like we call family the people that we're related to, but I feel like after a certain point in time in your life, like family is who you establish family to be. Because the people that you're related to, you may not have like the best relationship with, or may not be able to, have
a connection with.
Yeah, you may not have a connection with them. Yeah,
because I have friends who I've known probably longer than I've known some of my family, and I feel like I have more of a connection with them. Like they could be like a cousin to me. Like that's how close I feel like we are. I just think that we're blessed to have each other because not only are we family, we're cousins, but we're also like best friends.
We are.
I'm still convinced that we're twins, and they separated us at birth.
I mean, we clearly
y'all don't
share
see the resemblance. Like we finish each other's sentences. Like we're family and we're friends.
Family. Exactly.
But I definitely agree with the statement because, like you said, there's people that aren't blood related to me that treat me like their own.
Yeah,
and I feel like that means that, like the word family, like that means more family-ish to me than people who are blood related to me and I don't know you.
Yeah, I feel like people who you're related to is just that, who you're related to.
That is true. That doesn't necessarily make them family.
Right, and family is who you make it to be.
That is true. That makes a point.
Yeah. All right, so speaking of family, have you heard of the Olympian Sha'Carri Richardson?
I've been seeing outrage about her on Facebook.
Yeah,
so that's about what I know.
So the first time I heard of her was just like randomly on TV or on social media or something, because she stood out because of how she looked. She had really bright hair, she had the long nails, and she won her 100. She broke a record. The time after that I heard of her was when people were saying, "Oh, she's doing so good," even though she just lost her biological mother. Mm-hmm. So first of all, sis is doing it. She out here looking the part, and her actions are speaking for themselves as well.
Yes, because I think when the outrage about her winning the race because she's like what, the fastest woman in the United States or something.
Yeah.
And they were saying when she won that race, it was 1 week after she lost her mother.
Right.
I don't even know if I'll be able to get out of bed if I lost one of my parents. Yeah. Much less go win a race and beat everybody and world records, country records, no kind of record. The only record I might beat is if I'm able to get out the bed that day.
Right. So with a smile on her face.
Right. Like, I didn't even know about that up until like maybe a few days ago that she lost her mother.
Yeah.
So I would have never known just from seeing her on TV winning these races.
Yeah. So, so everybody was really like praising her, especially the Black community. We were like, yes, representation of this.
Right.
But then, next thing you know, you're hearing, Sha'Carri Richardson may be disqualified because the anti-doping committee says that they found THC in her system after she ran her qualifier.
Mm-hmm.
So now they're saying that she may not be able to run in the Tokyo Olympics, and that race that she broke the record in the 100 meter was taken away from her because of the anti-doping.
So they're saying so basically they're erasing that race like it never happened.
Exactly.
And that's the one that she beat the record on.
Right.
That is insane. That's one point. I don't like this whole anti-doping word because it's not like when I think dope, I'm thinking crack, cocaine, like hard drugs. I'm not thinking THC or anything like that.
Exactly. I was really surprised that was. I'm not surprised that that would be in violation, but I'm surprised that they're like grouping it with the same doping.
The same category. Right. Especially when a lot of athletes outside of the Olympics, I'm not sure about in the Olympics because clearly she's getting in trouble for it, but outside of the Olympics, a lot of people use THC, not even like the plant itself, like weed. They use THC for like body aches and all this stuff. Yeah. Like they rub it on their joints, their joints. Yes. Yeah. So I can't see how. Like I feel like wouldn't you want your athletes to be using the most natural things?
You would think.
Like, would they prefer her to be on like antidepressants or something?
Yeah. So I was confused as to why that was included in the anti-doping violation. I'm not really understanding why that's in there, but maybe just because it's an altering thing. They did make it clear though that it is not, they don't see it as something like a steroid. They understand that it's not a performance enhancement.
Exactly, because everybody's saying that if anything, weed would slow you down, not make you faster. So sis is out here doing it if she's high and still being able to beat records. Okay, they're just mad.
All right, so the penalty that that's coming from the anti-doping committee. So she's gonna get, for them finding THC in your system, the penalty is a 3-month sanction. So you have to be removed. You're not allowed to participate for 3 months. But however, because they did say that the use of the THC wasn't used inside of the competition, and that she agreed to do in what they call a substance of abuse treatment program, the penalty has been reduced to 30 days.
And I would just like to commend her for, like, when the news broke of like her failing this drug test or whatever the case is, I would like to commend her for coming out and being like, well, I'm human. Because she is human and she's young. How old is she?
She's 21.
So at that age, at 21, most people are experimenting with a whole lot worse than just weed. But people are experimenting with drinking. They might try weed. They might, So I'm glad that she's like, I'm human. Like, I make mistakes. Like,
yeah, so I agree with that. But also on the other end, the people that's around her, knowing, because it's not like it wasn't known that she wasn't allowed to have THC in her system. So I feel like her and the people around her should have been like, the Olympics is a big thing. Like, if this is something that's important to you, then you need to talk to somebody or you need to figure out another way to cope, because she did come out in an interview and say that it all stemmed around the death of her biological mother. So I feel like the people around her should have been like, we understand what's going on. We hear you. Let's figure something out how you can get through this, because you doing this can jeopardize what you have going for yourself right now. This is a pretty big deal.
That is true. And I would just like to put out there that the state that she resides in, weed is legal. So like, even though it might be legal where you're living, it's still illegal federally. And the IOC doesn't consider it a drug that's legally okay for any athlete in the Olympics to use. But because weed is becoming legal in so many states, people are now able to like go to their doctors and get prescriptions for it. So I feel like if that was her preferred way to cope with her losing her mother, she should have went about it a way where like, okay, it's doctor prescribed in case she got backlash for it.
Right. I agree with that. Yeah. So with that being said, do you think the sanctions that she's been given is fair or unfair for her?
I feel like it's unfair because, like I said, weed is one of those things that is becoming legal like everywhere. And I just feel it's unfair. Like, she shouldn't be punished for doing weed. Like I said, I don't consider weed to be a dope medicine, like a dope drug. Right. And it's not like she's doing it to cheat in the race or anything like that. Like, athletes are allowed to drink alcohol outside of the Olympics, and they're allowed to drink alcohol when they're on the Olympic camp, wherever the Olympics is. So how is it okay for them to be drinking while they're competing in the Olympics when drinking can have a lot worse effects on your body, your state of mind, and all these things? So why can't it be like, okay, you can't do drugs and you also cannot do alcohol while you're competing in the Olympics?
So I think it's both. I think it's fair and unfair. I think it's fair only because the rules were already set and she agreed to the rules, and her support and everything agreed to the rules and knew what was going on. But what I think is unfair is the rule itself is unfair. Like, I don't think that, and because when you hear, the anti-doping committee put this as a violation against her, you think, she did something to alter her performance. That's why and it just so happened that she was the one that broke the record. She was the one that came in first place. So it makes it seem like, she did something to do that. It wasn't just her.
Exactly.
It's taking that away from her.
Exactly. Because it's like they're trying, like, if she came in third place, fourth place, whatever the case is, if she was the backup person to run that race for her team, in case the lead person broke a leg or got hurt or got sick or whatever, like, would it still be such a huge problem? Or is it because, like, she's breaking these records, she's coming in first in all her races, so now I feel like it's like, well, let's find a way to see how we can slow her down. Because didn't you mention, you told me before that, like, I guess now she can't compete in the race that she won, right?
Well, yes. Yeah, so now with the 30-day sanction, she's actually going to miss. So the 100 is her race. So she's actually going to miss the 100 in the Olympics. Okay. But there may be a chance that she can compete in another race, either the 200 or relay with her other teammates. But that hasn't been set in stone yet. But it seems like she's for sure going to miss her 100, though.
It's crazy.
It's sad. It's sad. She was going to do it. She was going to do the damn thing.
They're just trying to find any reason to stop sis, and I'm not here for it at all.
Yeah, it's really sad. I was rooting for her.
Right. I think we all were. That's what makes it so heartbreaking. Because I remember when I saw I think you called me and told me, it was like, did you hear? And like the way you broke the news to me, I thought you was about to tell me like somebody in our family died. Like, I was so like my heart dropped. And then you were like, Sha'Carri, she got eliminated or she might get eliminated, she might not be able to go to the Olympics. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
It was just as bad as telling me somebody died, because like it just didn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
That brings me to, since we're on the Olympics topic, there are two other Olympic track and field stars, and their names are Christine, I hope I'm saying this right, Magoma, and Beatrice Missalingi. And they're basically being disqualified, well, in the terms of that, they're being barred from the 400 meter to the 1600 meter races because they have too much testosterone in their body.
Too much natural testosterone.
Yes, not something that they went and injected into themselves or anything like that. It's naturally being made in their body. So before I even discussed that, I was like, well, what exactly is testosterone? So it's basically a hormone that's made mainly in the testes, and it's part of the male reproductive system. But it's also produced in the ovaries alongside your estrogen. So for some reason, well, in males, it's what helps develop like the male sex characteristics, such as like their facial hair, their deep voice, their muscle growth. And muscle growth basically is a big one. Because when I seen a picture of these women, I was like, they're toned. Like, I wouldn't mess with them. They could stomp you out with them legs, okay? But I'm like, is it right to ban them from something that ban them because of something that their body is naturally producing? Like, they have no control over that.
Right, because the thing to me that felt really unfair was that, okay, you're saying based on, once again, the rules that are already set in place, there's a limit of how much testosterone can be in your body. So that means you can't compete with the women races, but also you don't have enough to compete with the men.
Exactly.
So it's like, it's just like, sorry for you.
Like, sorry, you can't come to the Olympics because your body just decided that the rules we made aren't good enough.
Yeah.
Like, what? Like, for something that I cannot match, like, it's one thing if, like, people have gotten in trouble for using, like, performance-enhancing drugs, but it's literally something they have absolutely no control over.
Yeah, I think that's the heartbreaking part. Is like, I literally cannot control this. Like, this is just how I
am. That made me think of like another controversial topic, which was like transgender people competing in like Olympic sports, or probably just sports in general. Like, how is it okay for them to compete in certain sports, but like for a woman who's naturally producing these hormones, it's now, well, you can't compete. And I saw an article, I forgot where I saw it, and they were saying that like for a transgendered woman to compete in like the women's sports, she has to wait at least a year and take like some kind of like drug to kind of suppress the testosterone in their body so that they can qualify for the races. So how is that okay? But
yeah. So to me, what that says is if naturally you have too much testosterone to qualify, even be considered for the Olympics, you have to alter your testosterone levels. So you have to take something to lower your levels, whether that's going to be the same standard as a trans person where they have to wait a year, or whether it can just do it until you're under that limit. But that sucks though, because it's like, once again, naturally, this is just how I am. Now you're telling me I have to alter myself.
You're literally on one hand, one person's getting in trouble for doing a non-performance enhancing, I can't say enhancing, a non-performance enhancing drug. And you're trying to tell somebody else on the other hand that, oh, you have to take these drugs to lower something that your body's naturally creating so that you can compete. But she can't compete because she did weed, but you have to go take whatever drug we give you to lower your testosterone so that you can run. Make it make sense.
Yeah, I feel for them.
Like,
I know that's pretty heartbreaking.
There's so much politics surrounding the Olympics. And I feel like every time the Olympics comes around, it's like always some heartbreaking topics. So after hearing about like all this controversy surrounding like the Black athletes in the Olympics, are you gonna be watching this year?
Oh, I'm definitely still gonna watch because I just love the Olympics. I love the Summer Olympics especially. And there's still some other athletes that I do enjoy watching, so I want to see how they do. And also being that it's not like these athletes are saying, like boycott the Olympics, or, they're like, okay, well, in Sha'Carri Richardson's situation, she's like, well, I'm just going to continue to condition and things like that and do what I can because I'm coming back for the next Olympics and I'm going to do what I need to then. I know I'm going to put myself in a better position next time. So I don't think I'm not going to watch. I'm going to still watch and I'm going to enjoy it.
Well, I usually don't like if it's on the TV. I'll maybe like let it play in the background and stuff, but I'm not like invested in it. Like, I think I enjoy the swimming more than I do watching like the track and field. Even though I did track and field as a kid, I can't swim, but I enjoy watching other people swim.
I can't swim either. I mean, I can move in water, but I don't think it's called swimming. What I do.
I can survive when I'm thrown into the water. Okay, that's about it.
I did track and field when I was younger too, but it definitely was not a passion of mine. But I do enjoy watching it. I like watching the swimming as well. What's some other sports that for the Summer Olympics?
I feel like they do beach volleyball because I think I've seen that.
Beach volleyball is cool. It's not something that I'm like, oh, beach volleyball is about to come on. But it was on. Like, I may like catch a glimpse or something.
I feel like the last few...
I used to play volleyball too, fun fact. Even though I'm short,
she used to play all the sports. Because let me tell you, sis got a whole resume of sports that she should have been in the Olympics for something. Because all the sports that she played.
I was never really, other than soccer, I was never passionate about any sport that I ever played. So
I don't understand. And she was so good at it. Yeah, I feel like you should have kept up with at least one of the sports. So that way I could have been in the crowd like, that's my cousin.
And everybody is so funny because when people realize like, well, back then, not no more, but when people realize like how fast I could run, everyone was always like, oh, you need to stick with this track thing. You need to make sure you can get a scholarship for college. And I'm like, I do not like cardio like that. And I do not like running on the track. Like, I hate running on the track.
Let me tell you, I did track. And if I knew then what I know now about college and student loans and financial, my ass would have been running. Let me tell you, as soon as they said go, my ass would have been gone. Okay?
And that's another thing because even though I played all these different sports for like a short amount of time, I can say now because I know I won't get in trouble, but I rarely ever gave 100%. I'm not even gonna lie, like 50 at best.
She said 50 and she was still beating everybody. So this is why you know she should have been at the Olympics, because if she gave 100, there would have been no competition.
Let me tell you how bad it was. It was so bad that even though I could run fast, I preferred doing triple jump. I preferred doing a field event over a track event.
No, like my life would have been so much easier if I stuck with track. Like,
it's true. Do you think your kids are gonna play any sports now or when they get older? Do they have any traits you're like, oh, this one will be good at this?
I feel like I've been watching Xander, which is the youngest one, and he has a good kick. Like, I've seen him kick a ball around, and like, he's only 1.5, but like, he can kick a ball straight. So I'm like, I feel like he would be good at like soccer. Braden, he's not really into outdoors. So I don't know. He's like more like technical. Like, he loves playing video games. Like, anything like that he can figure out in like 0.2 seconds. So like, I feel like he might be more into like something to do with like
savvy.
Yeah, like a STEM kid.
Yeah. And
my daughter, she is actually starting gymnastics. She's supposed to start this week, but we're on vacation, so I don't know how that's going to work. So, what about you?
Yeah, so my older one, she did gymnastics, and she was really good at that. She enjoyed it. And she also does swimming, and she's actually really good at swimming. And she has the body, like the build of a swimmer.
Yes.
So I think she enjoys gymnastics too. But I feel like swimming is more of her passion. Yeah. And I feel like she's built for swimming. You think of a woman gymnast and you think of like this short stature but super strong and muscular. That's not my oldest. No. She's very slim. She's
taller than us.
Yeah, she's taller than us. So I don't think gymnastics is really going to be for her. Like, we could still do some tumbling and stuff for the fun of it, but I think
she is
swimming
so tall.
is
She's gonna do a flip across the thing and smack the judges in the face with her legs. That's how tall she is.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I think swimming is gonna be more her speed. And as far as other sports, she hasn't tried any other sports, but I don't think she's really into the whole contact sports thing. Like she's not into that. As for my younger one, she yeah.
I know you said she did soccer at one point. Did she?
She did do soccer, and she loves soccer. I'm like, oh, that's definitely my child. That's my child. She loves soccer. She hasn't started swimming yet. She was actually going to start swim this last year, but because of the pandemic and everything, she wasn't able to. Yeah. But I think she'll enjoy swim, but she's the opposite of my oldest. She doesn't have the build for swim, in my opinion. Yeah. But she loves soccer, and I actually think she's going to be really good at soccer. She, just like Xander, she has a good kick on her. And she likes the contact. She's not afraid to get down and dirty. She's not afraid to be pushed around.
Sis is not. Sis is built to knock you out. Okay?
Yes, she is. Yes, she is. But she's also like a cute little teddy bear. Like she'll knock you over and then be like, "But are you okay?"
Right. She's the sweetest. I love her.
So the sportsmanship is already there. I love that for her.
Yes, because she could flip it on and off. I'm gonna knock you out because we playing, but I'm gonna see if you're okay after I do
it. Exactly.
Yeah. So do you think you're gonna like push them to continue playing these sports? Because what if they like wake up one day and they're like, "Mom, I don't want to do any of this."
Okay, so I've thought about this because you see how I said I gave 50% at best in any sport that I played?
Yeah.
That was partially because I had nobody forcing me to do it.
Yeah.
Like I did it. Most of the sports I signed up for to do, I did because my friends were doing it.
Same, because I wasn't doing nothing by myself. That's part of my problem.
Exactly. And like I didn't have like my family, they supported the fact that I wanted to do it, but they didn't push me. So the days that I would come home and be like, I don't want to do it anymore, they're like, all right, like, okay, what you come to tell me for? Like, quit. Don't go to practice. So I never had anybody pushing me or forcing me to do it. So with that being said, when it comes to my children, I'm not gonna be that parent that's like,
you gotta do this.
That's making them do something that they don't necessarily want to do, but I don't want them to quit just because
they're having a bad day.
They lost a game. Yeah. Somebody's better than them. Like I'm gonna push them to be their absolute. They're gonna be given 100%. Okay.
Yeah. I feel like it's different once you have like that actual support at home and on the field, like from your coach or whatever. Then you'll probably want to continue on with it. Because I feel the same way. I feel like I didn't have anybody. And I didn't have anybody at home telling me like, Mickey, this is good for you. And like I moved here with my dad. So like he doesn't like when I applied for colleges and stuff, that was like his first experience with like school here. So like he didn't know the process. My mom, she didn't know the process because she didn't go to school here either. So it's like I feel like if he would have known like how much college costs, he probably would have pushed me to continue with some kind of extracurricular activity because I was in band and I had solos at the concerts. Like I was so good. Like I could have either been a track star or a musician. And at one point I wanted to go to school just for music. Like I was like, I'm going to major. I'm going to go to school, but I'm going to try to be in the band. Mm-hmm. I didn't have that support at home. Like, Mickey, you should continue on with this. Like you're good with this. Yeah. So like, I feel like if I didn't make it with track, I probably would have made it playing band throughout college.
What instrument did you play in band?
The flute, You
played the flute too?
Yes.
Why do I feel like I didn't know that?
You knew this.
I thought you played the clarinet. No. No, so yeah, I was in band too, and I love. Okay, now talk about passion. I truly did have a passion for concert band. Yes. Like I love the flute, and I was good at the flute. I was first chair when I was in band,
up front and center.
And the thing about it is, the reason I quit band was because the next grade up, they didn't have concert band. They only had marching band. And I told y'all, I don't like cardio. I don't like being outdoors and things like that.
The flute wear 2 ounces. Sis is not walking up and down nobody's field holding no 2-ounce thing with her arm up in the air.
No. Wasn't doing it. But once again, looking back, I could have still continued to play the flute. I didn't have to play for my school. I could have did it outside of school. But at least could have kept my skills sharpened. But like you said, like there was nobody at home pushing saying like, no, like you've been doing it for so long. You got first chair. Like you need to continue.
3 years.
Yeah, it was. I actually love playing the flute. I'm actually going to teach my girls how to play before they
I feel like if I get one in my hand, I can remember the finger placements to get the notes right.
Yeah, I definitely remember. I still have my flute. It's packed away somewhere, but I still have it. But it's probably like I need to get it tuned and fixed up and all of that.
I had mine. Well, mine was rented because my school we had a band in my middle school, and they had enough instruments that we all got our own instrument. So, well, the flute. People who played the flute did. You know, the other ones who played the bigger instruments, they had to share, and they used to be fighting over the wood pieces and all this stuff, and the mouthpieces was missing. We didn't have the problems if you played the flute. You got your own personal flute. Don't nobody
cute little rectangle case.
Exactly, because don't nobody need to be inhaling nobody spit when you go to play the flute. Okay, so like I got mine through my school, and at one point my mom was like, well, you're really good at this, you're getting solos at the concerts and all this stuff, like maybe we should just buy it and like continue so you can continue doing it. And I was the one that was like, because I knew how expensive instruments can be, so I was like, no, it's okay, you don't have to. And I kind of wish I would have let her do it, because I could have continued. I could have found a music teacher to help me continue that in high school, because my high school didn't have the band at all. Like they didn't have any kind of instruments, nothing. But I'm like, even my middle school teacher, I'm sure if I had my own flute and I went back to him after I graduated, he probably would have continued with me up until I went to college.
Yeah, my band teacher, her name is slipping me right now, but we gave her hell because we didn't really listen that good and stuff, but she was definitely passionate about music. So I know like if any one of us ever went back and was like, yo, can you help me? Like she would have loved.
I remember my band teacher, Mr. Kamo. He was the nicest guy ever.
Oh man, I'm so mad. Her name is I could see her face. She used to be this tall, skinny lady, but I can't remember her name.
And that man was amazing. He played every single instrument in that room. Yes. Like he was a professional at every. Like there wasn't that one instrument that he was like, I could teach you how to read the notes, but like I'm not the best at it.
Yeah.
Every instrument he picked up sounded amazing, but I think his main instrument was the guitar.
Yeah, I had guitar.
We didn't, but he played it.
Oh, okay. I was like,
y'all
fancy.
There was one, but I don't think anybody played it. In the actual band.
Yeah. And I just would like to say, when I was in concert band, every what is it called? Like every competition we went to, we always got first place. I just would like to say,
see, y'all fancy. We didn't do all of that. We just had.
Y'all didn't go to competition?
No, we weren't a competition. We were in middle school, so we weren't doing all. We probably were the only school in New York City that probably even still had a band. Okay. Because let me tell you, the schools in New York City don't have anything. You'd be lucky if you have a textbook to yourself, okay?
I will say that up north schools are more focused on, like in the city, I'll say. Schools are more focused on...
When we say the city, we mean New York City.
New York City, right. They're more focused on the education part of it, and I feel like the schools in the South where I went to...
It's more well-rounded.
Well, I wouldn't say well-rounded because...
Well, maybe not well, but it's more rounded. Because the education part might have been lacking a little bit.
Yes, because I can say the standard of education, despite what people think about inner city schools up north, the standard of education is higher. Yep. But I feel like down south, the focus is more on the extracurricular. Not to say that you're not being taught, because you are, but the standard of education is not to par.
And I completely agree, because when I went to college, the majority of the people that I met that were doing band, playing sports, and getting scholarships to go to school were from the South. And a lot of them didn't really know what the hell they were doing school-wise. Like, they were asking for help. They had to get tutors just to keep passing classes so they could keep playing these sports. Yeah. So I can definitely see that being a thing.
Yeah, and I wanted to mention, you touched on it, that when we talked about we didn't have the support at home. And I just want to say that I don't think it was because we talked about in the last episode, if you haven't listened to that, go check that out. Yes. We talked about in the last episode how we were raised in the parenting styles and how our family is Guyanese. So growing up Caribbean and then having children grow up in the United States, it's two completely different worlds. So when we're like, oh, we want to try sports, we want to be in band, they're like, okay, fine, but they didn't push us because they didn't understand. Okay, push you for what? Like, what comes after this? After I played soccer and I tore my ACL, I was like, all right, then I just won't play soccer in college. I just won't play soccer. Yeah. It's fine. And everybody was like, okay.
Because we're first generations, and like, at least for our parents, we're first generations to like grow up here from like little to adults
to go
through the school system.
And right, to go through the American school system. Yeah. We're the first generation. So they didn't understand the process of college and how you can get scholarships to get into college. And we only knew what we heard from like our counselors and our teachers. So, but when that's not supported by what's at home, then it only goes so far, you know?
Yeah. And I will say she's still one of my closest friends. My best friend in high school, she helped me a lot. Like, I would be calling her, texting her, like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Can you help me out? And she, honestly, if it wasn't for her, I'm going to shout her out, Leonora. If it wasn't for her, I don't even know if I would have made it into college. Because, like, she was the one that was like, okay, well, this is what you got to do for the applications. And then we both got accepted into Syracuse thanks to her, because she helped me get my life together and figure out what I needed to do and who to send it to and all this stuff. And like, even like after the acceptance period, like, you think you got accepted, like that's it, like you just start school.
Right.
She was like, no sis, like you need to make sure you register for classes. You gotta make sure that your bill is paid. Like, and she showed me how to do all those things. Like, if it wasn't for her, I would have been lost my whole senior year. Like, I probably would have never even made it to college.
For sure, I can feel that, because so me and two of my friends, we actually all planned to go to the same school, and we all planned to go to school in Florida. So we were all like around that stage. We're applying for colleges, and I applied for an HBCU in Florida. I think it was Bethune-Cookman. Yeah, I'm old. I can't even remember what college I applied for. I think it was Bethune-Cookman. And they sent me an email and was like, it was either email or a letter, and they got like the spelling of my name wrong. So they're like, we can't continue the application process. And instead of me just fixing it, I was like, well, I guess I can't go to this school. And I didn't have nobody to sit me down and be like, no, all you have to do is X, Y, and Z, or whatever. So then I ended up going to a completely different school in a completely different state from all of my friends, most of my closest friends, I would say.
Yeah.
And yeah, those dreams were down the drain. Or because like
a name was spelled wrong.
Or because the name was spelled wrong, and we just didn't understand the processing behind it, because we didn't have anybody from our family who went through that process before us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I feel like with my parents, like it was mostly like, oh, you have to pay for an application. Well, here's my credit card. And that was it. Like, that was the most help I got.
Yes.
Like, you got to pay for an application. You got to pay for your SATs, whatever here's my credit card. That was about, my dad used to drop me off when I got to take my test in or whatever. That was the support I got, because that's all he knew how to do.
Yeah.
I can't be mad that you didn't know how the system works.
Right.
But I'm prepared. When my kids go to school, I'm prepared. And I definitely feel like I'm going to try to get them into some extracurricular. Education is key. But they're only teaching you so much in school. And if their plan is to go to college, I feel like they need to have something other than grades to get them there.
Yeah. And yeah, I think also being in extracurricular activities is working the other side of your brain. Like, you got the education part, but you also need the creative part, which I feel like we're only now in our late 20s starting to explore that creative side of our brain, because that just wasn't something that we did as young children, because it was all about books.
Right.
But there was no arts involved in that.
And I feel like it would also help them a lot socially to interact with people outside of their household. Because for like my whole childhood, like, people who know me know that I don't talk to people unless I know them. Yeah. So for me to even be sitting here doing a podcast, like 10 years ago, that would never happen. Like, I wouldn't even have the courage to sit down in front of a computer or a mic or a webcam and record myself.
Which is part of the fact that why we're doing this together and not separately, because we're both, like we said last episode, we both grew up the same way. So we weren't doing this by ourselves or with nobody else.
Exactly. It's only going to work with the two of us.
Exactly.
Okay? Because
yes,
I feel like I definitely, if I would have continued on with extracurricular activities, I would be like, it took until I had my first daughter for me to like start breaking out that shyness, because I'm like, well, now I have to advocate for her.
Exactly. Yeah. Definitely force you out you don't have a choice at that point.
Yeah, because I can't just go to the doctor and be mute. Like, if something's wrong with her, I have to let the doctor know.
Right. Yeah.
Go to see the teacher, you have to be able to speak. Like, I can't just be sitting there relying on somebody else to speak for me and her.
Right. Yeah. That's so good.
Yes, we're growing. It's taking some time, but we're growing.
We're getting there. You know. We're so youngish.
I'm young. Okay. I'm young. Okay. I keep telling my daughter, I'm like, when you're 18, I'm only be 36. Like, that's young. My mom had me at 36, so that's young to me. Okay.
Literally. Is that weird that I'm like calculating, like, okay, by the time you graduate, I'm gonna be this old? That means that I'm that's my date where I'm like, okay, at this point, I'm gonna still be, but y'all starting to have kids. My kids gonna be graduating, going to college. What?
Period.
We gonna be up on the yacht somewhere, right. Our feet kicked up.
Manifesting it, because by then this podcast is going to be bringing in so much money
and just like that,
right? Like, we're just going to be living our best lives, and our kids are going to be living their best lives, doing whatever they want to do.
Exactly. Whatever they want to
do. While we're still young and can get around. Okay?
Exactly. All right, guys. Well, thanks for listening. If you made it this far, we appreciate you so much. Before we go, we want to leave you with the weekly mantra. This week's mantra is, I am worth it, as is, without change, without exception.
Period.
One more time for the people in the back. Listen up.
Rewind.
I am worth it, as is, without change, without exception. So take that for this week.
Do what you want with it.
And do as you please.
Okay. If you guys want to stay updated on everything Momsley, make sure that you're following us on Instagram, and that is Momsley Pod. That's MOMSLYPOD. And this week we're actually doing video alongside the audio, so you guys can check us out on YouTube at Momsley Pod.
Yeah, so we'll see you next Wednesday.
Yay, another one in the book. And